Commander Emma Foster stood at the helm of the ESS Nemesis, Earth's most advanced battleship. Her blue eyes reflected the glow of holographic displays as she watched an unknown object approach their position near Jupiter's orbit. The ship's sleek black hull, spanning 3 kilometers in length, remained hidden in the gas giant's shadow. "Unknown vessel approaching, Commander," reported Lieutenant David Chen from his sensor station. "It's bigger than anything we've ever seen." The alien ship emerged from faster-than-light travel in a flash of purple light. Its crystalline structure sparkled against the backdrop of space, dwarfing the Nemesis despite its impressive size. "Open communications on all frequencies," Emma ordered, straightening her uniform. Humanity's first contact with alien life would not happen because of fear or misunderstanding. "This is Commander Emma Foster of the Earth Federation ship Nemesis. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations." The response came as a burst of energy weapons fire. "Shields holding at 98%, called out Rachel Cooper, the ship's engineering chief. Her fingers danced across the control panel, redirecting power. "Their weapons are strong, but our defense systems are handling it." Emma's jaw tightened. So much for diplomacy. Battle stations. The Nemesis crew moved with practiced efficiency. Years of drills had prepared them for this moment, though none had expected their first alien encounter to turn hostile so quickly. The alien vessel, later identified as belonging to the Xeraxian Empire, launched several smaller craft. Their crystalline forms glowed with energy as they approached, clearly expecting an easy victory against what they assumed was primitive human technology. "They're trying to surround us," said Lieutenant John Martinez from Tactical. "Standard pincer movement." Emma allowed herself a small smile. "Let them think they have us. Prepare the railguns and plasma torpedoes. Hold fire until my mark." The Xeraxian ships moved closer, their formation tightening around the Nemesis. Their overconfidence was clear in their aggressive approach. "Now," Emma commanded. The Nemesis erupted into action. Hidden weapon ports opened along its hull, unleashing a devastating barrage. Railgun rounds accelerated to relativistic speeds, tore through the crystalline hulls of the smaller ships. Plasma torpedoes followed, their superheated payload turning 2 more vessels into expanding clouds of debris. "Direct hits on all targets," Martins reported, unable to hide the pride in his voice. Their shields weren't designed to handle kinetic weapons. The main Xeraxian vessel reeled back, clearly shocked by the effectiveness of human weaponry. Their return fire became erratic, missing the Nemesis completely as Emma ordered evasive maneuvers. "They're preparing to jump to FTL," Chen announced. "Their engine signature is building up." "Let them go," Emma ordered. "They came looking for easy prey and found something else entirely. Let them take that message back to their leaders." The alien ship disappeared in another flash of purple light, leaving behind the wreckage of their escort vessels. As the adrenaline of battle faded, the crew realized the magnitude of what had just happened. "Begin salvage operations," Emma commanded. "I want every piece of their technology analyzed. And send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them that we're not alone anymore, and we've just been forced into a war we didn't want." As the Nemesis crews began collecting debris, Emma stared at the spot where the alien ship had vanished. She knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had hoped for peaceful first contact, but instead they had proven themselves dangerous opponents. The galaxy would soon learn that humans were not to be underestimated. The battle had lasted less than 10 minutes, but its implications would echo across the stars for years to come. 3 days after the first contact incident, the ESS Nemesis detected multiple Xeraxian warships entering the solar system. Lieutenant David Chen's sensors lit up like a Christmas tree as over 20 crystalline vessels dropped out of FTL near Saturn's rings. "They're not here for peace talks," Emma Foster said grimly, watching the tactical display. Status of the Shadow Drive. Engineering Chief Rachel Cooper looked up from her station. "Ready for testing, Commander. If it works, we'll be completely invisible to their sensors. If it fails, she left the sentence hanging. Better than facing their entire fleet head-on, Emma replied. Activate it. The Nemesis's hull shimmered as the experimental technology engaged. The massive ship seemed to fade from view, its energy signature masked by the new system that Rachel and her team had developed in secret for years. Multiple scanning beams from the Ziraxian fleet, Chen reported. They're searching methodically. Wait, something's different about their shields. He focused the sensors on the nearest enemy vessel. The crystalline structure of their hulls pulsed with a new pattern, one they hadn't seen in the first battle. They've adapted already, Lieutenant John Martinez noted. They've reinforced their shields against kinetic weapons. Emma nodded. They learn fast. But so do we. David, keep analyzing their shield frequencies. There has to be a weakness. For hours, the Nemesis drifted silently through the outer solar system, gathering data as the Ziraxian fleet searched in vain. Chen worked tirelessly, running simulation after simulation on the enemy's defense systems. Commander, Chen's excited voice broke the tense silence. I found something. Their new shields, they're strongest against physical impacts, but they have a distinct vulnerability to certain electromagnetic frequencies. Rachel hurried over to his station. If we modify our plasma torpedoes to pulse at those frequencies, her fingers flew across the console. We could create a cascade failure in their shield matrix. How many ships can we take out before they adapt again? Emma asked. 3, maybe 4 if we're lucky, Martins answered. But we'll lose the element of surprise. Emma studied the tactical display. The Ziraxian ships had spread out, making them vulnerable. We'll make it count. Plot an attack course for their command ship. Ready the modified torpedoes. The Nemesis glided silently through space, positioning itself above the largest enemy vessel. The shadow drive had performed perfectly, keeping them hidden until the crucial moment. Weapons ready, Martins reported. Targeting solutions locked. Emma took a deep breath. Disengage shadow drive. Fire everything. The Nemesis flickered into view, its weapon ports already opening. Modified plasma torpedoes streaked toward their targets, their energy signatures pulsing at the exact frequency Chen had discovered. The effect was devastating. The command ship's shields collapsed in a spectacular display of failing energy fields. 2 more vessels suffered the same fate before the fleet could react. The remaining ships scattered in confusion, their formation breaking apart. Direct hits. Martinez called out. 3 ships disabled, 2 more damage. Shadow drive re-engaging, Rachel announced. 15 seconds to full cloak. The Nemesis vanished again before the remaining Ziraxian ships could mount an effective counterattack. As they faded from view, Emma caught a glimpse of the enemy vessels regrouping, their crews undoubtedly shocked by the effectiveness of the human response. Send the battle data to Earth Command, Emma ordered. They need to know what we're up against, and that we can fight back. The Nemesis slipped away into the darkness of space, leaving behind a message that would echo through the Ziraxian Empire. Humanity would not be easy prey. Lieutenant John Martinez led his boarding team through the crystalline corridors of the disabled Ziraxian supply ship. Their magnetic boots clicked against the alien floor as they moved in practiced formation, weapons ready. Clear left, called one of his team members. Clear right, responded another. The successful surprise attack on the supply convoy had left this ship dead in space. While the Nemesis kept the remaining escort vessels busy, Martinez's team had one job: gather intelligence. Command, we've reached what appears to be their main computer core, Martins reported through his helmet comm. Rachel, are you getting this? Back on the Nemesis, Engineering Chief Rachel Cooper watched the feed from their helmet cameras. Got it. The crystalline structure matches our analysis. Plant the data extraction device as planned. The team worked quickly, attaching the human device to the alien computer. Strange symbols flowed across their heads-up displays as the translation software began its work. Multiple contacts, warned Private Sarah Wilson, coming from the lower deck. The sound of crystal on crystal echoed through the corridors, the distinctive sound of Xeraxian troops. Martinez's team took defensive positions, their weapons trained on the approaches. Data extraction at 60%, Rachel reported. You need 3 more minutes. The first Xeraxian appeared, a tall, crystalline being with internal lights pulsing in patterns of aggression, its weapon charged with a high-pitched whine. Martinez didn't hesitate. His rifle fired specialized electromagnetic rounds designed to disrupt the crystalline biology of their opponents. The Xeraxian shattered, its pieces scattering across the floor. More aliens came, but the human team held their ground. Their weapons proved devastatingly effective in close quarters, turning each Xeraxian soldier into glittering shards. Data extraction complete, Rachel announced. Get out of there. Fall back to the shuttle. Martinez ordered. Controlled retreat. They moved backward in pairs, covering each other's withdrawal. The Xeraxians pressed their attack, but their tactics seemed rigid, predictable. They couldn't adapt to the humans' fluid movement and coordinated fire. Back aboard the Nemesis, Commander Emma Foster watched the successful extraction of her boarding team. As soon as their shuttle cleared the enemy ship, she gave the order. All units, execute pattern Delta. Fire. The Nemesis's guns spoke again, this time targeting specific weak points they'd identified in the supply ship's structure. The vessel broke apart, its precious cargo of war materials lost to space. In the ship's analysis room, Rachel and David Chen pored over the stolen data. Their faces grew grave as they decoded more information. Commander, Chen called. You need to see this. The tactical displays showed massive fleet movements throughout Xeraxian space, hundreds of ships, gathering for what could only be one purpose. They're planning to invade Earth, Emma stated, her voice hard. But they've made a critical mistake. What's that? Martinez asked, still in his boarding armor. The data shows they fear us, Emma replied. Their military leadership is terrified of human unpredictability. They're rushing this invasion because they think they need overwhelming force to beat us. She smiled grimly. And that fear will be their undoing. Send word to Earth Command. The Xeraxians aren't just facing one ship anymore. They're about to face all of humanity. The crew of the Nemesis watched as Emma began outlining their next moves. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why they should never have been underestimated. The ESS Nemesis drifted silently in the shadow of an abandoned space station at the edge of Xeraxian space. Security Officer Lisa Wilson studied the approaching vessel with intense focus. Unlike the crystalline design of Xeraxian ships, this one was built of dark metal and flowing curves. They're hailing us, David Chen announced, using the frequency we agreed upon. Commander Emma Foster nodded. Put them through. A holographic image appeared on the bridge. The alien that materialized was humanoid, but covered in iridescent scales. A Meridian, one of the species conquered by the Xeraxian Empire centuries ago. I am Captain Zik of the Meridian Resistance, the alien said in carefully learned English. We received your encrypted message. Is it true that your single ship has caused such damage to our oppressors? It is, Emma confirmed, and we're willing to share our tactics and technology, if you're willing to fight alongside us. Zik's scales shifted color, showing excitement. The Xeraxians have ruled through fear for too long. Your success has given hope to many subjugated worlds. Lisa stepped forward. My security teams have prepared detailed plans for joint operations. We can train your crews in our combat techniques. The meeting moved to the Nemesis main conference room. Representatives from 3 other species joined remotely. The machine-like Varix, the energy-based Quarians, and the insectoid hive mind of the Tress. Each had suffered under Xeraxian rule, and each had seen hope in humanity's resistance. The Xeraxians don't understand humans, Rachel Cooper explained as she shared their technical data. They can't predict our strategies because we don't think like them. We can use that advantage to help all of you. Over the next several hours, a plan took shape. The The Nemesis would serve as a training vessel, teaching other resistance ships their hit-and-run tactics. Human ingenuity would be combined with alien technology and knowledge. "We have something the Ziraxians never expected," Emma told the gathered allies. "Unity through diversity. Each of our species thinks differently, fights differently. Together, we're not just unpredictable, we're unstoppable." Lissa coordinated the first joint mission, a raid on a Ziraxian patrol base. The Meridian ships provided cover, while Varric's infiltration units disabled the base's communications. The Nemesis delivered the killing blow, its human weapons combining with Quarian energy technology to slice through Ziraxian defenses like paper. News of the successful attack spread through hidden resistance channels. More species reached out, offering support, ships, and fighters. The Ziraxian Empire had created its own worst nightmare, a coalition of all those they had oppressed, led by the most unpredictable species they had ever encountered. "The Empire thought they could break each of our species alone," Emma told her crew as they watched Allied ships gather around the Nemesis. "Instead, they gave us something in common, a reason to stand together." The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter as the Resistance fleet grew. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or victims, but as liberators. And the Nemesis, once a lone defender of Earth, had become a symbol of hope for countless worlds. "Send word to all Allied ships," Emma commanded. "The real war begins now." Dr. Robert Hayes stood in the Nemesis's main laboratory, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing his latest breakthrough. After weeks of studying captured Ziraxian technology, he had finally cracked their shield matrix code. "It's beautiful," Rachel Cooper whispered, watching the simulation run. "Their shields don't just block attacks, they redirect energy through their crystalline structure. And that's their weakness," Robert explained, pointing to the flowing patterns. "If we hit them with precisely timed electromagnetic pulses, we can turn their own shield energy against them." Commander Emma Foster watched as the simulation showed a Ziraxian battleship's shields collapsing in on themselves. "How soon can we modify our weapons?" 24 hours, Rachel answered. "Less if I pull crews from other projects." The news of the Nemesis's new capability spread through the Resistance fleet like wildfire. The once mighty Ziraxian warships now faced an enemy that could strip away their strongest defense. During the next battle, the effect was devastating. 3 Ziraxian cruisers approached the Resistance fleet, their shields glowing with confidence. The Nemesis struck first, its modified weapons causing the enemy shields to implode. The crystalline ships, suddenly vulnerable, shattered under combined fire from the Alliance. "Send the battle footage on all frequencies," Emma ordered. "Let every Ziraxian ship see what happens when they face us." The psychological impact was immediate. Reports came in of Ziraxian crews refusing orders to engage the Nemesis. Some ships fled at the first sign of human weapons. The mighty Empire's military had never faced an enemy they couldn't understand, and fear began to erode their legendary discipline. Lieutenant David Chen monitored the communications channels. "They're calling us the shadow that breaks crystals in their language," he reported. "Their crews are sharing stories about us. They think we're some kind of demons. Fear is a powerful weapon," Lisa Wilson noted. "And they've given us plenty of reason to be feared." The Nemesis led increasingly bold attacks on Ziraxian strongholds. Each victory added to their legend. The ship's black hull became a symbol of liberation to oppressed worlds and a nightmare to their oppressors. "We're not just winning battles," Emma told her crew during a briefing. "We're breaking their will to fight." Every Ziraxian commander now has to ask themselves, is this the day we face the Nemesis? Is this the day our shields fail us? The breakthrough had changed the nature of the war. The Ziraxian Empire, built on technological superiority and rigid discipline, found itself facing an enemy that turned their greatest strengths into weaknesses. Robert continued improving the shield-breaking technology, sharing his advancements with their allies. Soon, more ships carried the modified weapons. The Nemesis was no longer alone in its ability to shatter Xeraxian defenses. "The age of crystal supremacy is over," Emma announced to the Allied fleet. "Now we show them what real strength looks like. The strength of free peoples fighting together." The Xeraxian command center floated like a massive crystal cathedral in space, its spires glowing with defensive energy. Around it, the combined fleet of the Resistance gathered, hundreds of ships from dozens of species, all led by the infamous EFS Nemesis. "Enemy fleet approaching," Communications Officer Brian Taylor reported from his station. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." "Let's hear it," Commander Emma Foster ordered. The voice of the Xeraxian High Commander filled the bridge. "This is your final warning. Surrender now or face complete destruction. You cannot hope to defeat the full might of the Empire." Emma smiled. "Brian, send them our response. But first, activate the signal jammers." Across the Resistance fleet, specially designed human technology began blocking Xeraxian communications. Their crystalline ships, dependent on synchronized battle networks, suddenly found themselves isolated and alone. "All ships, execute Battle Plan Phoenix," Emma commanded. The Nemesis led the charge, its black hull absorbing enemy fire as it closed the distance. Around it, Meridian ships launched waves of fighters. Varix vessels deployed their electronic warfare suites, further confusing the enemy systems. Multiple Xeraxian ships breaking formation, Lieutenant John Martinez reported with satisfaction. "They're trying to retreat." The sight of the Nemesis had triggered panic among the Imperial forces. Stories of the human ship's abilities had spread far and wide, and now those stories were becoming reality. Inside the enemy command center, chaos erupted. Brian Taylor intercepted their fragmented communications. "The demon ship is here. Shields failing. We cannot coordinate our defenses." Dr. Robert Hayes' shield-breaking technology proved devastating. Xeraxian ships, their crystalline hulls suddenly vulnerable, shattered under concentrated fire. Others surrendered, their crews choosing survival over a hopeless fight. "Enemy fleet at 40% strength and falling," David Chen announced. "The command center's outer defenses are down." Emma stood from her command chair. "Send the message to all remaining Xeraxian ships. Your empire is finished. Your choice now is simple. Surrender and live in peace, or follow your leaders into oblivion." The response came quickly. Ship after ship powered down their weapons. The mighty Xeraxian fleet, terror of 1,000 worlds, chose surrender over facing the Nemesis and its allies. The command center fell within hours. The Resistance forces found the Xeraxian High Command in disarray, their perfect crystalline order shattered by the chaos of defeat. Security teams report the command center is secured. Lisa Wilson reported, "The High Commander and his staff are in custody." Emma looked out at the field of surrendered ships, their crystal hulls no longer glowing with hostile energy. "Send word to all allied worlds," she ordered. "The heart of the Empire has fallen. Freedom is no longer just a dream." The crew of the Nemesis watched as the Resistance fleet began securing their historic victory. Humanity's first step into the galaxy had led to this moment. Not just survival, but liberation. 1 year after the fall of the Xeraxian Command Center, the ESS Nemesis orbited Earth during the first Galactic Council meeting. Commander Emma Foster stood at the main viewport, watching ships from dozens of species arrive for the historic gathering. "Quite a change from when we first met them all in battle," Lieutenant David Chen said, joining her at the window. Below them, the crystalline ships of the reformed Xeraxian states flew peacefully alongside vessels of their former slave races. "The Meridian delegation is ready for transport," Brian Taylor announced. "Captain Zick sends his personal thanks again." The Nemesis, once feared as a destroyer, now served as a symbol of unity. Its mission had evolved from war to peacekeeping, helping former enemy worlds transition to freedom. Latest reports from the outer colonies, Lisa Wilson reported, checking her tablet. "The last Xeraxian holdout fleet surrendered this morning. They asked specifically to give their surrender to the Nemesis." Emma smiled. "They still fear us." They respect us now, Rachel Cooper corrected. All of them do. We didn't just beat them. We showed them a better way. The ship's mess hall had been converted into a conference room for the council meeting. Representatives from 27 species gathered, including reformed Zeraxian leaders. The agenda: building a lasting peace. The humans taught us something valuable. A Zeraxian speaker addressed the gathering. Strength isn't about domination. It's about adaptation, cooperation, and the courage to change. Dr. Robert Hayes presented his latest work, shield technology modified for peaceful purposes, protecting ships from natural hazards rather than weapons. The Variks shared advances in communication systems. The Meridians offered their expertise in sustainable energy. A year ago, we were all enemies or slaves. Emma addressed the council. Today, we're architects of a new future. The Nemesis will remain as a guardian of this peace, not through fear, but through unity. Above Earth, ships of the new Galactic Council formed an honor guard. The Nemesis took its place at the head of the formation, its black hull now bearing the symbols of all member species. New contact request, Brian announced with a grin. 3 more systems are asking to join the council. Emma looked at her crew, human and alien alike, working together on the bridge. They had started as Earth's defenders and become the galaxy's liberators. Now, they would be its guardians. The stars belong to all of us now, she said, and we'll explore them together.